can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have John Lee of PickFu. And John, before I formally introduce you, I always like to point out other episodes people should check out. And other guests share amazing resources, their favorite resources. And that's how I heard about John. Anna David, we did an episode of how to establish authority using your book, was raving about PickFu and what they do. And we'll find out more. But if you want to not just trust your gut, right? You want to know what sells before you sell it. So she helps high-end authors with their book. So why guess on the cover of the book, right? So she uses PickFu for a variety of reasons, and that's one of them. So check that episode out. Brett Curry also. They have a lot of people in the e-commerce space. PickFu does, because people, and we're going to talk about some case studies where if you're investing thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands in product packaging, don't guess. Right. So a lot of people in e-commerce use them. Brett Curry, we did an episode, Driving Results in E-commerce. So check that episode out. And we were also chatting. John was saying that he threw up something with Rise 25 to see what would show. And I did an episode with Martin Greif of Site Tuners, where they do CRO stuff. And he ripped our site to shreds live, but it's instructional for everyone to listen to. And he didn't pull punches with me on it. And so there's that and many other episodes on InspiredInsider.com. And since this is a SaaS, we did an episode with Pipe Drive, which was really interesting.
Awesome.
The Mailshake, Sujan Patel talked about buying SaaS companies and how they grew to over 70,000 customers. So check that episode out. And this episode is brought to you by Rise 25. Rise 25, we help businesses give to and connect their Dream 100 relationships and partnerships. How do we do that? We actually help you run your podcast. We're an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast. We do accountability. The most important thing is strategy and the full execution and production. So John, I tell people we're like kind of the magic elves in the background that are working to make sure everything happens. So people could just have the conversation and run their business. And, for me, the number one thing in my life is relationships. And I'm always looking at ways to give to my best relationships. And I found no better way to do that than the profile of people and companies I most admire over the past decade and share with the world what they're working on the podcast. So if you have questions about podcasting, email us, check out rise25.com. And John Lee, let me formally introduce him. He's co-founder of PickFu, and PickFu is a polling platform that anyone could use to get fast, reliable feedback from actual real people. And companies of all sizes use PickFu, from solo entrepreneurs to Fortune 100 companies, because that helps them make smarter, faster, data-driven decisions, not just guess and trust their gut, like I was saying before. And past companies who have used PickFu include enterprises like Intuit, Fidelity, e-commerce brands like Wayfair, gaming companies, publishing companies, marketing companies. Duct Tape Marketing has used them. I had John Jantz on the podcast too, and GoDaddy, and many more. So we're going to show some examples, and you're going to have to guess which one you thought won. Okay. I thought it'd be fun to do that. And so picture you want feedback on your product packaging before you invest lots of money. John has a master's in computer science and started his career actually as a software engineer for Microsoft. So John, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me on, Jeremy. Super excited to talk to you.
This is where I am quiet most of the time and you're doing most of the talking. So tell people about PickFu a little bit and what you do. I know I explained it a little bit.
Yeah, no, you explained it better than I could probably. The way we talk about PickFu with others is that think of it like a online digital focus group, right? We tap into the same panels, like large CPG companies like Procter and Gamble. They have complicated market research departments and they tap into these consumer panels. We tap into those same panels using software, and we're basically providing access to those panels but putting that access, self-service, in the hands of the people actually doing the work, right? So anyone who's actually working on something within a business can now tap into those same panels, get high quality feedback on their marketing designs, their ad copy, product packaging, digital assets, all of that stuff. And we're trying to do it faster, easier, but still with super high quality.
So you have real people. So we're going to go through an example for a second. And you're going to, if you're listening if you're listening in the audio, we'll describe it, but it's best to watch the video portion of this, obviously, because we're going to show some images of this book. Okay. And we're going to show these 3 images of this book and guess which one won. But talk about the real people before we have people guess. It's a dual marketplace. It's dual-sided software. How difficult was that early on? Because you have these companies coming in, but then you need actually real people to look at these things. How does that work?
Yeah. So rather than building both sides of the marketplace, we tapped into existing consumer panels. So, the same panels where Nielsen will run a public opinion poll about, some hot button issue and publish it on CNN, or the same panels where political polling is done during election season. The same panels where Procter & Gamble reaches out to find their focus group participants. Those are the same panels that we tapped into using software. And then we put a layer of demographic targeting, so you can reach exactly the type of person that you're looking for. And then also quality control using machine and human algorithms to make sure that the quality is high for every response that we get back.
So, John, I know you studied at Berkeley, computer science, and actually got your master's in computer science, and then went to Microsoft. At that point, what did you think you were going to do? Did you think you were going to stay at Microsoft forever? What was your thought of your career trajectory at that point?
Honestly, my plan was to go to B school at some point after Microsoft. So I started at Microsoft as a software developer, switched over to program manager instead to work more on sort of like the product design and development side of things. Funny thing, I was actually working in the mobile devices group at Microsoft. This was right before the iPhone came out and kind of changed the game for everyone. But my original plan was to go to B school. Instead, my co-founder Justin and I decided to start a business together instead.
Why? How did that come about?
Why we chose the School of Hard Knocks instead of
starting a company. Exactly.
We went to Berkeley together, and we had always wanted to do a startup together. We graduated during the first .com bust, where we saw all of all these startups going under. Even as we progressed in our careers individually, we would always talk about different business ideas and so on, and say, "Oh, no, we're not going to do it." And the funny thing was that all these ideas that we would come up with that we decided not to do, we would see other startups come out and start doing them. So at least that was some validation that our ideas weren't the dumbest things. If someone else was able to, was willing to go raise money and pursue that idea. So at some point, when we were both at transition points in our careers at our companies, then we decided, hey, why not give it a go and start a business?
So I don't know if you remember at the time what was on your options to do, and then why you chose PickFu.
So the funny thing with PickFu is that it wasn't actually the first business we've started. We've started a number of businesses, and PickFu was actually a tool we built for ourselves to help our decision-making process along the way. So back then we were 2 bootstrapped entrepreneurs. We're both developers and product people. And so we would always just have these debates about, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about this? Should we go with this design, this headline, that headline? And, we would debate it. And then we'd always try to get feedback from our friends and family. And they're super supportive and they're biased. And at some point they kind of get tired of just, poo-poo. That's great. Good job. Right. Keep it going. So we found this opportunity to build on top, tap into these consumer panels we built the first MVP of PickFu long time ago, used it for ourselves, got really fast feedback, so it served our needs. And then we just launched it out to the world, didn't really do any marketing, put it on the side, and it just kept growing over time. So funny thing with these side projects is that over time, the side projects become the main project. And that's what happened a couple of years back. So then we focused our efforts on PickFu.
I love it. We're going to look at the book cover here. And
Yeah.
I even remember, and I don't know the full story, John, maybe you know it, but even with Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Work Week, he talks at some point about how he split tested the titles by running ads to different ones, and that one won. Now, that's a much more difficult way to do it. You have to be familiar with, Google ads, and then you got to get them all up and running. So this is a very much easier solution for something like that. Do you know that story?
Definitely. And I think Tim Ferriss has mentioned, I don't know, something like PickFu before.
Maybe
or something.
you should try PickFu then.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a shortcut way of doing that, right?
Yes.
Instead of having to set up a Facebook ads account and then run a whole bunch of different variations and throw a bunch of money pushing those variations, you could just run PickFu instead. The other downside of running Facebook ads to test, I mean, you get the clicks, but you don't understand the why. And I think that's how we like to differentiate, which is that every single panelist on PickFu gives a written response explaining their thinking. So you can see that they're real people. Our systems have something to validate that they're real people and paying attention, and we use that as well. Yeah. And so you get, I like to joke that people come for the votes but stay for the responses.
Yeah, that makes sense, because it's just like they could just blindly, and I don't know if some of them are paid on the back end to fill out these surveys or whatever.
They get stipends and stuff.
But you want them not just mass clicking yes or no or whatever and just collecting a check. So that's great to know. They're leaving a response, and you can read through the why. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So let's look at this for a second. So there's 3 options. Okay. And this is just to give people context, is a book cover, or what is that what we're looking at?
Yeah. So this is a book cover. Authors and publishing, the publishing industry in general is one of our big industries, and that's because PickFu provides a way to test your book title and book cover before you publish, right? Because they say no one judges a book by its cover, but I mean,
they do. Yeah,
they do. Yeah, exactly. So PickFu is a great way for authors and publishers to test these book covers. In what we're seeing here are 3 different Italian phrase book covers. I just want to say, Ian Garlic, if you're listening to this, you should, because he actually posted something on LinkedIn. You're going to get a bunch of responses, but people are biased and whatever. So put your book, check out PickFu, put your book cover on PickFu and get some responses. Just PickFu it.
Exactly. PickFu it. Yeah. So we're looking at this cover, which is Italian phrase book. For those of you listening, you can watch the video. And for travelers, and then there's a subhead, 1,400 common Italian phrases to travel in Italy with confidence, with a picture of Italy, kind of a cartoony picture. And then it says talking Italian at the bottom. That's the first choice. And so if you're watching this, try and guess which one won out, or which one maybe you just like one that didn't win out. But here's another one that says easy Italian phrase book. And then the subhead is over 1,500 common phrases for everyday use in travel. And then there's a kind of picture of a Colosseum there with lingo mastery at the bottom. So you can check that one out. And then we have Rick Steves. This is a totally different concept. All of them are kind of totally different here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Rick Steves at the top, and says Italian in big letters, and it says phrase book and dictionary. Mm-hmm. I'm not even going to answer because I actually saw what the answer was. But take a look. Option 1, option 2, option 3. Do you remember any why behind this? I don't, and I'm going to pull up. So now you had a chance to choose your favorite.
Yeah.
Okay. Out of these 3. And here's the full piece. You can see which travel book covers will appeal to my readers, and this person, you can see the full poll and everything.
Just click into the full poll and take a look.
Yeah. And by the way, if you can check this out at pickfu.com, and there's an examples where they have a bunch of examples, and you can look through different types of use cases for this. So we'll click through to the full poll for a second, and you can see the first one, which, I mean, I guess, Jen, I think I would have picked the first one personally, but I'm also biased because I saw what the winner was.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting when I saw this because, like, Rick Steves is in some circles is a very well-known name around travel. And so I thought that this was a pretty interesting test of like brand versus content, right? Because you look at the Rick Steves cover, it has his name, but it doesn't really have anything else. It has Italian, and just a phrase book and dictionary. So I feel like this is kind of a test of whether the Rick Steves name can really just sell the book by itself. Whereas the test kind of shows that it doesn't. Someone
said this, though. I mean, some people did answer that. It looks like, so if you're looking at it, there's responses. You can see all the responses from A, B, and C. And someone said in that, what you're saying with that responses, they recognize Rick Steves' name.
Yeah. So maybe there is affinity to the name if they recognize it. But then overall, more people preferred A because it actually tells you what you're getting, right? Like you're getting 1,400 common Italian phrases. Like, you're selling the confidence. There's a lot more to it that it's pitching than just a phrase book. Yeah.
So there's, you can see some of the responses here. And it's just interesting to look through why people chose that.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
We'll go through another one here. There's another one I have pulled up. Again, what are we looking at here? This is another example.
Yeah. So we offer a couple of different poll types, right? Like, typically a poll is a single question, but then respondents can answer in a couple different ways. You can compare multiple things, like up to 8 images, video, text, audio. In this case, we're showing a click test. So you can upload an image and have the panelists targeted, right? And this poll is targeted towards women. You can have the panelists click on the images based on your prompt. And you can even have them click up to 10 times. So this poll here that we're showing, it's a set of 9, I think in Amazon, they're called secondary images, right? So they're the images on the side of the Amazon listing where when you hover over them, you get a lot of sort of benefits, supporting images showing different benefits of the product that you're looking on. Here we have a square of 9 secondary images, and the prompt is click on this image set 3 times based on what catches your eye first, second, and third. And so we put this to the panelists. They click 3 times based on the prompt. They write down why, explaining why, and then what you get is this nice heat map of this set of images that show you exactly what really drew people's attention.
Is this a deodorant?
This is a deodorant.
A natural deodorant. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. These are supporting images for a natural deodorant.
Interesting.
So this would be, if you're in the marketing department for this product, then now you understand sort of what is drawing not only which image is probably most popular and most eye-catching. So you can use that information to order the images, or if you wanted to swap in a different image, this would be useful data to do that. But also within each image, what is the actual thing that is drawing the eye of the potential buyer?
Yeah, like, it's interesting. The last one, a bunch of people are drawn into her armpit.
Like straight into the armpit. Yeah. Right. Like the point of contact, right? That's
interesting. So this is an example. So like from an e-commerce use case, this not only shows, which image, but also where they're looking as well.
Right. Exactly.
There was another one that we were talking about, John, with Thrasio. What happened with that?
So, one of the other large verticals we service are people who sell on Amazon. You could probably go to the resources case studies there. The case studies?
I'm on the e-commerce page. I don't know if that.
Yeah, I'll try to find it for you. Well, so yeah, one of our biggest verticals are entrepreneurs who sell on Amazon. We like to joke that we help Amazon sellers know what sells before they sell it, and the reason we're able to do that is because Amazon sellers use PickFu to test, like split test their main images off Amazon, kind of using PickFu as a private sandbox, because pull results usually come back in under an hour, and definitely like by the end of the day, they're able to quickly test different main images for their Amazon listings, which will lead to greater click-through rates and therefore greater sales. So yeah, there's the Thrasio case study right there. Now, the crazy thing with Thrasio, so there's this, if you think about Amazon sellers as this world of mom and pop sellers, right? But just selling onto the Amazon marketplace. There's this concept of Amazon aggregators. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. Yeah. And so they're the large corporations who come in, buy up these mom and pop listings, and then try to grow those businesses through, scales of economies of scale and other stuff. Thrasio, one of the first products that they bought is this product called Angry Orange. So you can see on the screen, it was a good product with a moderate bottle design.
Yeah.
So when they
it's like a emoji mad face here at the bottom.
Literally
they
an angry orange,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like I think that's what they were doing. Like literally, it almost looks like a hand-drawn orange, like emoji. And so their hypothesis when they bought this listing on Amazon, this Amazon listing, was that product is great, good reviews, really could use a rebranding. So they purchased the listing. And yeah, we have video from their head of brand, who was talking through this, where they went through over 100 different designs for the rebranding. They spent a ton of design resources internally. Like, should it be this color, this design, and so on. And then once they narrowed down their finalists, they used PickFu to validate the design that they ended up using, which is this bright orange color. To me, I love sriracha. It almost reminds me of like a sriracha bottle, right? Like with the the bright red with a bright color with the white lettering and everything. And they were saying that the retooling to make that orange bottle would have costed them, I think, $50,000 or more. So to validate that it was going to be worth it, they ran a bunch of PickFu polls comparing, I don't know if it's, no, they compared the old packaging with what they were thinking of for the new packaging, validated. Then they went ahead with the rebranding, launched it, and I think overnight it 10x the sales because the packaging was just so vibrant.
It is. It's great.
In the world, and it's a competitive marketplace when you're shopping on Amazon, right? You're probably not searching for Angry or Orange. You're probably searching for pet deodorizer. And so when you see sort of this eye-popping bottle, really catchy image, then that compels the click, which then compels the sale.
Yeah, and I want to talk about a gaming option for a second, but I will mention there's the interview I did, and he should check out PickFu also, with Rick Cesari. And Rick talked about really what he did was he helped do the marketing and build brands like George Foreman Grill, Sonicare Toothbrush, Juice Man Juicer, Orange Glow, and that's what this reminded me of, is Orange Glow. So yeah. Rick, check out PickFu for your whatever companies you're working on now. But you also helped a gaming company as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure if we have a written case study on it, but it was a company called Machine Zone, really large game publisher. So on the case studies, we have a couple other ones, actually, you want to talk about Conor McGregor? We can talk about
Sure,
Conor
go ahead.
All right, let's talk about Conor McGregor. That's always fun.
I was watching a UFC video the other day of I don't know, like watching like regular people messing with the wrong person. The person was like a UFC fighter.
Those are so compelling.
And they were just being jerks to him, and he didn't want to fight him, but it just pulled me in to watch the whole video.
Yeah.
Like, what's going to happen to these poor people that mess with the wrong person?
Nice. Yeah, we can talk about this. So what I was going to talk about was that PickFu is used on the marketing mobile gaming app like launch side for testing, similar to the Amazon side, like testing mobile app icons and mobile screenshots, right, for better marketing. But also in the gaming industry, it's PickFu starting to be used more and more on the creative side, like the product development, during the product development phases. So whether you're selling on Amazon and trying to figure out your product packaging and sort of the product you want to sell, similarly on the gaming side, we have game companies using PickFu to test their character designs and their character themes and so on. And so what you have on the screen here with Beetroot Labs is kind of a case study of that, where they had the rights to use the Conor McGregor image, right? You can see that they got the rights for Conor McGregor. They were building a game where it was Conor McGregor, obviously, as the main character, but then there were other, you can't just have Conor McGregor. I mean, I guess you could. He probably says you could, but you got to have other characters, right? To support Conor McGregor. And so they were trying to figure out which characters to include in the game. And so they ran a whole bunch of PickFu tests of like, okay, do you prefer this character or this character as a supporting cast? And so they were trying to use, that one that you have highlighted. I think his name is Spectre. They needed to figure out which character to put as like second billing on the main character screen. So you see on that dystopia. So you have Conor McGregor on one side, balanced out by Spectre on the other side. So they use PickFu to try to figure out which kind of character designs resonated there. And then also they use PickFu to figure out the app icon, right? So obviously they were going to promote Conor McGregor. They're not. So they put Conor McGregor there, but then how do you present Conor McGregor? So they tried a bunch of different designs with different tattoo colors, vests, hand positions, and so on, before they finalized on the app icon that they ended up using.
Yeah, and these game companies are investing sometimes millions of dollars in this stuff. So they want to get some actual data from people. Yeah, exactly. And so this was a fun case study. This is a fun story to hear about. I'm curious, John, from your perspective, if any of these campaigns that people ran, which one surprised you or Justin the most? And I also just want to mention too, while you think about that, Carl, a big shout out to Epic Made. They help companies make animations and NFTs. And so this would be a cool platform for them to test their NFTs, like which ones they think are better. So Carl, you can check this out as well. And people can check out Epic Made. Have any campaigns surprised you guys the most as far as, packaging or look or feel or comments from people?
Almost all of them, honestly. Like, I think because we're tapping into people who are just people, right? Like they're unbiased. A lot of times what the reasons that they give for the preferences that they have are just really surprising. So for example, we have one of our big clients is, well, not clients because it's all self-service, but one of our big users is Mary Ruth Organics. They sell supplements.
I know David.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. We were just chatting with some people from their team last week. And so they Mary Ruth uses PickFu for a lot of different product launches, and particularly when they're going into a new vertical or a new customer segment that they haven't been there before, right? So they use PickFu for like researching like packaging designs and so packaging designs and claims and so on. And so that's always super interesting to see how people actually respond to certain types of packaging or not. Things that are always surprising for us are also that when our users use PickFu for competitive research, because it's kind of a private sandbox. And so a lot of times if someone's trying to go into a specific category, it could be like a certain type of genre of book, or it could be some category on Amazon or some gaming category. They'll often actually pull up assets from the existing larger players in the space, right? Like Rick Steves in books, or maybe Angry Orange on Amazon, and actually test their assets of existing players in the space against what they're trying to come up with. And so that's kind of it's always fascinating to read the results there and be able to iterate on those.
Yeah, I want to talk about how the product has changed, but it's funny because we did a John and I through Rise 25, we did a just a high level mastermind, and it happened to have a lot of e-commerce sellers, and so David was there among one of the sellers. So I learned about Mary Ruth, and I think even a couple of weeks ago, I forgot where I was in. I don't know if I was in like Whole Foods or somewhere, but I saw their bottle sitting on the shelf, and I was actually wonder how they came up with that packaging. So now I know with the help of some users.
Yep.
How has the product changed from when you first started it until now?
Massively. So when we first started it, it was only 2 options, images, 50 people, like, and only US based. Over the years, we've added a lot of different other types of testing. So you can do open-ended testing, which is like the poll that I ran for on the Inspired Insider website. You can test up to 8 options. We have the click tests. We added a lot of demographic targeting. So we have demographic targeting for almost any kind of product category, books like nonfiction, fiction, favorite book types and genres, favorite game types and genres. So we've added a lot of targeting. What I'm most excited about is that over the past year, we've been able to expand our panel. So before it was only about 20,000 people in the US. And now I'm really happy that we've been able to expand it to over 10 million in the US and over 5 million internationally. So if you're developing a product for the Australian market, the German market, the UK market, like we have people there, like about 1 million each, to sort of help you give feedback. And I know particularly in the gaming and e-commerce space that what we've heard is that German consumers are very, very different from US consumers. So you just can't just pull one and assume that the other is going to act the same way.
John, from a marketing perspective, how do you get these companies to hear about you, right? You've gotten, like I mentioned, Intuit, Fidelity. I mean, at some point there's word of mouth, but before that, how do you get people to learn about your platform?
Honestly, Jeremy, it's almost all been word of mouth.
So early on, before you had anyone, how were you getting people on the platform?
It was word of mouth. I wish I had a different answer for you. Like it was word of mouth. It was word of mouth between authors using it and then telling their fellow authors. It was word of mouth in the gaming industry where marketing managers at these large companies would discover it, use it, realize it was kind of a secret sauce to help them do their jobs better. And then we've seen so much word of mouth spread within these industries. And as people go from company to company and they bring this with them and tell everyone else, same thing in e-commerce as well. Justin and I, my co-founder, Justin and I, were both we're uber geeks about product and stuff. And so we're super driven to just develop, provide the highest value product at the best possible price and make it as easy to use as possible. Like that is totally our mission. And that resonates with people. Now, over the past few years, we've worked with some affiliate and influencer marketing as well. And that has helped spread, but you can't spread what doesn't work, right? And so I think our core focus is always deliver the best possible product for our customers.
Before anyone knew about you, like early on,
how
did you get some of the first users?
We posted to a handful of tech startup blogs, and that was it. And then it kind of just
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love to hear about how you decided on pricing.
So pricing is by response. It's $1 per person. We figured that was the easiest way to deliver value, and it's kind of a choose your own adventure. So we have membership plans. No one needs to be on any kind of subscription. Everyone can just do pay as you go. So a 50-person poll will be $50. A 15-person, you can choose between 15 to 500 people. So you can get feedback as for as little as $15. That cost will scale, that dollar per person cost scales if you're asking someone to evaluate 8 things versus 1 thing, or if your targeting is like super detailed, then it's harder to find those people. We pay them more, and so the cost scales there.
So how did you decide on this piece? Because I feel like it's a tough piece. And, so if someone obviously wants a lot more responses, then they can get a plan and they're just going to save more money off of that.
Yeah.
They're like a power user. But I don't know if that's like industry standard or how you come up with the free plan plus $1 response, or have everyone, do some lower plan. How did you decide on these plans?
I mean, to be frank, I think we're still working through the right ways for plans. We've tried a handful of different plans in the past. Not all of them have resonated with our user base. So honestly, like what we tell our users now is like, don't start with a plan. You don't need to start with a plan. Like you can sign up for an account for free. You can run your first poll for $15 or less. And if it works for you, you can just do it that way. We're working through our plans and we're trying to, we're constantly talking to our customers and understanding what details of plans would actually work best for them.
Yeah. So for like an individual author or someone, they may use a free plan. If it's a publishing company that maybe has a bunch of authors that are constantly testing covers or titles, they may do more professional or team plan.
Exactly. It's really you should only go on a plan if you expect to test like in volume, right? But we don't ever want to gate our service and anyone's ability to use the product based on a plan. So you don't need a plan. You can just come on and just pay as you go.
I'd love to hear, John, throughout an entrepreneurial journey, there's always challenges that come up.
Yeah.
And what are some challenges that you've had to face in, launching PickFu and running PickFu?
I think our challenge, one of the biggest challenges for us, is in building a tool that is really broadly usable, but then understanding the sets of challenges that different types of customers have, right? And being able to learn their businesses, because our customers are business owners, right? Our customers are entrepreneurs. They're running businesses. They're trying to grow their businesses, and different types of businesses obviously have different types of problems. So having to go and learn those industries. I mean, now we feel much more familiar with the problems that our customers have. In the beginning, it was definitely like learn as you go, and yeah. I mean, we're still always in the discovery phase on that front.
What type of team what's the evolution of the team? Obviously in the beginning, it was you and Justin. Who did you need to hire, or what type of positions did you have to hire as you grew?
So we're close to 20 right now. In the beginning, it was Justin and myself doing everything. One of our first hires was a customer support person as the business kind of scaled, and we've definitely grown out our customer success team since then to be able to particularly to be able to support sort of the larger organizations who have more complex needs. Definitely scaled out the marketing side a bit in terms of just being able to create content and assets to help convey our message. And then definitely as the team has scaled, Justin and myself can't do all the coding and everything ourselves. So we've scaled out the product and developer organizations as well.
What are your thoughts on bootstrapping versus raising money?
If you asked me, say 2 years ago, I would have said never raise money. And I think my stance has softened a bit.
Why?
With resources, you can do a lot. But raising money always comes with strings, right? Like there's always an obligation. And so I think I feel like we have a much more balanced view now on the pros and cons of fundraising and sort of what you're signing up for. I've talked to like I have a lot of friends, and I know a lot of people who have raised money and run their businesses that way, and it's it's a different path. And I'm not saying that path is never going to be like that path is off the table, but I think for now, what they've also said to me and Justin is that if you don't need to raise money, then don't, because that's right. That as they say, it's a one-way door, right? Not a two-way door.
John, I have one last question. Before I ask it, I just want to point people to check out PickFu. It's PickFu.com, and to learn more and check it out. And my last question is a big win, a first proud moment, because starting a company is not easy, right? I mean, you're working at a great company, Microsoft, you go off and you just take a risk. It's always a risk to start a company. What was the first maybe proud moment or big win that you remember thinking we're going in the exact direction we should be going in?
I think for PickFu, I think one of the proudest moments was recognizing individuals from large organizations using the product and getting value from it. That, it's fine to be able to post to say a message board and get a handful of individuals. But when we were able to see that, okay, well, these large, publicly listed, recognizable companies have individuals trusting PickFu to help them with their decision making, and then to actually see them go and launch with that, right? Like their product or whatever it is that they were testing. Like that was a super proud moment to be able to have a product that we built be involved in something that we can now see out in the real world. And that's one of the biggest motivators for us, right? Like what you said about Mary Ruth and seeing that at Whole Foods. And there's other products at Whole Foods that we walk around and see and we're like, yeah, they use PickFu, and that is so cool.
Love it. Thank you, John. Thanks everyone for listening. Everyone check out pickfu.com, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Jeremy.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sailing right now. I'm feeling like $100 grand.